Hello friends, welcome to the lecture on hash traversal. Today we are going to look into how we can actually traverse a particular hash and how we can individually access a key and a value associated with that particular key. So as we all know, hashes are basically key and a value pair. So we need to traverse a hash in such a way that we can get the keys from a particular hash, and then for that corresponding key we can retrieve the value that is associated with that particular key in the hash that is in consideration. So the first and foremost method that we can use is for each. For each is basically a loop, and as I said in our previous lecture, that is array traversal, for each you can actually understand for each in the best possible way is you consider its literal meaning and write the syntax for that particular statement. So let's say now we want to traverse a particular hash, so we'll say for each. Now hash is a key and a value pair, so you can access all the values using the key. So we'll say for each key, that is $key, in, so in is replaced by the brackets, in we would say the hash that is in consideration, so that is passed to the keys function because we want keys of that particular hash, so that is grades. So now if you have a closer look, what is done, what we have done is we have got the list of all the keys in the percent grades, that is in the in this particular hash, and this particular list that we have got, this is an anonymous list. We look into this little later, but this anonymous list is now being traversed using for each statement, and each of this particular entry that is there in this particular list is being stored in this particular value, in this particular scalar variable, that is $key. So $key has a key that is there in the hash, that is grades. So now with this particular key, what we are going to do is written in this particular curly braces. So inside this curly braces your code will go here. So let's say in this particular case we are just going to print that particular key. So key and $key, we have printed the key, and now to get the value, as you all know, we'll use the scalar context of our hash, that is grades, followed by the curly braces, and we'll pass the $key variable, which will have which actually has the key of the hash that is in consideration, that is grades. So this will have this key, this particular scalar variable will have a key that will continuously change till the time there are entries in this particular anonymous list. We'll understand this in more detail once we go ahead and execute our program. So let us first execute this particular program in order to understand the output. So if you see, we have got key as student 6, then we have key as student 3, student 2, student 5, 4 and 1. So we have got all the keys, and associated with these keys there are values which the hash has. So we have also got the values printed on our screen. So this is one way how we can traverse a particular hash using the for each statement. The another way is using the each function. Now this each function is used using the while loop or inside the while loop. So the syntax or the way how we can access the keys and values of a particular hash using the each function goes as follows. So while loop, we'll start like this. Inside the while loop, we'll write the each function. In the each function, we have to pass the hash that is in consideration. So this is how we have written the each function. Now because this each function actually parses the hash on the basis of keys and values, what it does is it gives us a key and a corresponding value into a variable. So what we'll do is we'll add two variables here, or we'll define two variables here. These can be any variables. So let's say one would be $key and another would be $item, for example. So don't get confused, we can define any variables here, any named variables, whatever like naming conventions you want, you can use here. So these are the two variables. I would have my key and value stored in this. Now what we need to do is we'll simply go ahead and, for example, now we'll go ahead and print these two variables here. So what we'll do is we'll say key, and I'll print the value of key here using the scalar variable $key. Similarly, we'll go ahead and we'll print the value of this particular key using the scalar variable $item. So if you see this carefully, what we have done here is we have got key and value separately in two different variables. Unlikely in the previous section, here what we had was we had key in a variable, in a scalar variable, and using this particular key we had accessed the value of that particular key using the scalar context of the hash in consideration. So this is the basic difference using or between these two methods, using the each function and using the for each loop. So if we go ahead and print this particular or execute this particular program, we'll see we have got the output pretty much the same as in compared to the previous output. I'll simply say here using each statement. Okay, so this will give, or this is just a kind of line separator in the output. This will help us to identify the two different outputs. So if you see the first output, this is pretty much the same as in case of the second output. Don't go in terms of the way data is being printed. As you know, hashes don't index their data. They have the data stored in them as it's entirely. So whenever you if you keep on printing the hash, the sequence of these keys would always change. So in this particular case, you have this particular output which is almost the same output. I would say almost, because on looking at the output you can definitely find differences, saying okay, the way the output is printed, it may be a little different, but yeah, the output is pretty much the same in both the cases. So these are two ways of actually traversing a particular hash, using the for each statement and using the each statement. Do make sure you clearly understand these two statements, because this will actually form the base of writing any Perl script moving ahead. I hope this is pretty much clear. I'll see you at the next lecture. Thank you.